ช่วงนี้ติดตามข่าวภาษาอังกฤษไทย PBS World กับคุณเทพชัยยองค่ะ
Good evening and welcome to Thai PBS World. American Senator Tammy Duckworth has certainly lived an amazing life that has inspired many people the world over. The Thai-American politician, who is known by her Thai name Ladda, lost both her legs when the helicopter she was co-piloting was shot down in the Iraq War back in 2004. And since then, she has worked to help war veterans and people with disability before entering politics to later become the first Thai-born senator of the United States. Duckworth, who is now a mother of two, was back in Bangkok last week and spoke to the Thai media on a wide range of issues. Duckworth, who is a senator representing the state of Illinois, was visiting Thailand at the invitation of the Chulajomkrao Royal Military Academy, during which she also met Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha and House Speaker Chun Lik-pai. Duckworth visited Bangkok the first time 4 years ago, and she was back again as Thailand began a major political transition with the general election in March this year. What changes has she seen in Thailand, and what are her expectations for the future of the country?
I almost feel like people have taken a deep breath and went, okay, now what's the next thing we're going to do? So I feel like things are more certain now, and I think it probably has to do with the successful election. And I think people are ready to move forward, whether it's with just doing business, taking care of their families. I think there is less uncertainty than there was before.
Thailand has gone through a very contentious political period, which was capped by an equally contentious election in March. How does Duckworth see Thai politics now that the former army chief who seized power in 2014 is back as Prime Minister for the second term? And how does her Thai root influence her role as a public servant?
So my Thai heritage is very important to my being a good public servant, because being someone with an international background helps me to a greater appreciation of America's role in the world. It's less, I'm very proud to be an American, but I don't assume that we're the leader of the world because we're the best. I bring an appreciation for the diversity of our culture. I bring the appreciation of America's responsibility to stand with our partners around the world to my job. And so I think that makes me a better senator, especially on committees like the Armed Services Committee and the Commerce Committee, because without the economy, America's economy could not thrive or survive without our economic cooperation with our Asian allies.
A series of mass shootings that have rocked the U.S. have reignited the debate on the so-called Second Amendment and the gun rights in the country. But it appears that despite all the uproar, the debate has gone nowhere. Does Duckworth think politicians should take the blame?
Well, there's nothing to be resolved about the Second Amendment. It's clear that citizens of the United States have the right to bear arms. The problem is the implementation of the Second Amendment where we are today. For example, not too long ago under President Clinton, we had the assault weapons ban, which was constitutional, and the Supreme Court said it was constitutional under the Second Amendment. And yet, after that expired, politicians have been too cowardly to reinstate that. And so you see this flood of assault weapons in the United States. They don't belong on the streets. They belong in war. They don't belong on the streets. And so what we have in the United States is actually a failure of politicians to do our jobs.
When Duckworth visited Thailand 4 years ago, she was a member of the U.S. House of Representatives, and now she is a senator. Does she see any difference between the two roles?
Being a senator is different from being a congresswoman because We have more influence. There's only 100 of us in the Senate, and we're also in a 6-year term, so we can get more done. When you are in the House of Representatives, there are 435 members of the House of Representatives, and you only represent a small area, a district. 750,000 people gets one representative. As a senator, I represent the entire state of Illinois. We're the 5th largest state in America, and so there's greater responsibility, but there's also greater influence. And regardless, the job is still the same: serving the people, being the servant of the people, making sure that someone gets their Social Security money, making sure that veterans are taken care of, making sure that federal government does what it's supposed to do with the state government. For example, fighting to bring federal dollars to fix the roads, public infrastructure issues. My proudest accomplishment is that I've actually been able to pass legislation programs or anything like that during my time in the House and in the Senate in a bipartisan way. So I've always partnered with the Republican to pass legislation, and I even passed legislation under President Trump. And so I know it can be done. And I think that for me is what makes me very proud, that I can keep doing the job and I can keep helping to write laws that make my country better.
There's no question that Duckworth is truly a charming and inspiring figure to all of us. And that's all for Thai PBS World tonight. Thank you for watching.